Hello, fellow Toastmasters. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. I'm going to talk about something I really love, and I've studied, I've done papers on it, and I've actually done it in practice, not just in theory. Color is probably one of the most largest and most stable factors in interior design. And I'd like to talk to you about color in terms of how it affects the interior attitude of the people who have to live with it. I will preface it, first of all, by telling you that the state of California, pardon me, spent $2 billion painting every public space in their penitentiaries in the men's prisons pink or baby blue, without hiring any additional security guards, without having any other measures of safety. Their incidence of violence went down 30%. And it was because of the color. So when you think about color theory, you also have to think about the brain and how it perceives color. It perceives it through a vibrational input that the most untrained minds of our society do not register. One of the most unhealthy colors that you could surround yourself in interior design was popular for almost 20 years. That's gray. Gray causes depression and it causes sleeplessness. It can actually bring on certain psychoses, mental illnesses. So when you saw that splattered everywhere, that was not an accident. I believe there's a unified experience where color comes in and it's driven by corporate, fashion, and also retail. So coming out of the gray, we're going into a white era. Now, why is white so healthy? Because it's neutral. It's a blank canvas. And as a designer, I can tell you, you can't go wrong with white. I would never do an antiseptic white. The difference. When you go to a paint store and you look at the very top of a fan deck, you'll see the white family. Now, white families have a base dye, and it's a color family of different colors that you would recognize that are certainly not white. But at the very base of that fan deck, you can find the roots of that white color. So warm whites are going to be your warm tones, browns, and necessarily red. Although, boy, does anyone remember the red in the 2000s? Red actually is one of the most dangerous colors you can surround yourself with. Maybe a focus wall, but you're pushing it. When you go into a restaurant, you're going to see a lot of red. And the reason for that, they want you to eat. They also want you to drink. And they also want you to have conversation. Problem is, red gives you anxiety, heightens your sense of aggression, makes you want to eat and have sex. Well, goodness, is color that powerful? Oh, yes. We're being manipulated through any advertisement ad campaign. Color choices are discussed thoroughly. It's a manipulative tool. So, getting back to the choices you do for your home or your business, what are the healthy colors? Well, all colors can be healthy. It depends on where you are in terms of a pie chart. What's a pie chart? Well, that's the tool I use. It's visual. When I discuss with a client who has no acronym for design, I bring them into a totality of like a clock or a pie, that certain contributions eat up that percentage of vibrational occupation of the visual stimulation in the room. So they have to come off. If they have really large contributions of warmth on their floor, a lot of wood paneling, they're already 45% spent. That's normally why I would back off and put textures, not patterns, and stick to a monochromatic plan. Monochromatic, one color, very light and very dark. So color design is actually tweaking your emotional response when you come into a room. Men and women are very different. Women usually will want to do a design when they have some kind of absence pulling out of their emotional psychosocial world. In other words, they get divorced, their children leave, and or they end a relationship. That usually will propel women into a redesign or a remodel. Men, it's usually when they're about to divorce. So I had a discussion with an employer. This is theory. I was taught in college, but it's common sense. When a couple comes into a remodel, that tells me there's something precipitating their need to tear up their home and put themselves in an uncomfortable state for longer than 6 weeks. That means they'll be in pain, dust, they'll be in disorganization, they'll be in a complete upheaval in their life. There has to be something motivating them to want that type of discord in their living environment. Typically, it's marriage trouble. Instead of working on their marriage, they'll tear their house apart, put it back together, and normally that will precipitate a divorce. It is that common. So, color theory, interior design has very little to do with the aesthetics of your home. It has everything to do with it being an exterior driver to very internal driving forces. Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria.